The setInterval function works almost equivalent to setTimeout, but the difference is the setTimeout function calls the callback function only once, but the setInterval executes the same callback function multiple times repeatedly until you stop it. So whenever you have some repeated task which you want to execute continuously, then you will use this setInterval. For example, we have a callback function here that performs some task, and you are supplying the callback function reference as argument while invoking that setInterval function. Here, the setInterval is a predefined function, just like setTimeout. And in the setInterval, I must be capital, because in JavaScript always we have to follow camel naming convention, which means the first letter must be lowercase, and after that every word must be begin with uppercase. So you are supplying the reference of the callback function as argument to that setInterval, and also specify some number of milliseconds, let's say 1000 milliseconds. That means for every completion of that mentioned time, automatically it calls that callback function repeatedly. That is the exact difference between setTimeout and setInterval. setTimeout invokes the callback function only once, but setInterval repeats the same execution of the callback function for each completion of the specified time. For example, we have specified 5000, which means 5 seconds. For every 5 seconds, the same function executes repeatedly. For example, the setInterval invoked right now. After 5 seconds, the callback function executes. Again, after another 5 seconds, again the callback function. Like this, for every completion of the specified time, the callback function executes once. So, as the name implies, whenever you want to execute some repeated task in the application, that means just like a background task, in that kind of cases you will use this setInterval. For example, in online examination application, you want to display the countdown of the time continuously as long as the page runs. For example, the examination time is 20 minutes. The countdown of the time must be updated for second by second. So then you can use this setInterval and write the code for updation of the time so that the setInterval executes that function for every completion of 1 second. And for another example, suppose there is a stocks application that has to update the latest value of the Sensex, that means the share market value, for every completion of 10 seconds. Then also you can use this setInterval function so that for every completion of the specified time, it invokes the callback function, and in that callback function you can write the actual code for updation of the latest values. So let me create a file that is setInterval, and we have a callback function here, and of course you can give any name instead of callback. You can just give like ABC or something like that. And in this function, you can write any code, whatever you wish. You can decide what to do for every completion of specified time. For example, I would like to print hello message for every completion of certain milliseconds. And you will call the setInterval. Hey setInterval, I would like to execute this callback function for every completion of 2 seconds, that is 2000 milliseconds. So let's execute the same. You can see that for every 2 seconds, the callback function executes once. So you are getting that message once for every 2 seconds. The same process repeats continuously until you stop it. So, for example, the requirement is after a specified number of milliseconds completed, I would like to stop that repetition. Then you can use the clearInterval. Let me forcibly stop it by pressing Ctrl+C on the keyboard. So I press Ctrl+C, it will stop the program forcefully. So let's come back to the code. We have another function called stopInterval. Of course, it is a user-defined name. You can give it any name. And here I would like to stop that setInterval. You can store the reference of this setInterval function in a variable. Let's say myInterval. You can give it any name instead. And inside this function, we are going to call clearInterval, which is a predefined function, and supply the reference of the setInterval. So first of all, this setInterval executes. It starts executing that callback function repeatedly. And also you are storing that reference of setInterval in this variable. And based on that variable, you are stopping that clearInterval. And this function must be executed after some time. Let's say, for example, after 20 seconds. So I am going to execute that set timeout. So what function must be executed? StopInterval. And after how much time? 20 seconds. That is 20 into 1000, so 20,000. So the setInterval says that we want to execute that callback function repeatedly for every 2 seconds. And after completion of the 20 seconds, we are executing that stopInterval, and inside that we are calling that clearInterval, so that we will stop the repetition of that setInterval. So if this is the beginning point, this must be the ending point for that repetition. And here the names like callback, myInterval, stopInterval, these are user-defined names. You can try giving any other names instead. But the names setInterval, clearInterval, these two are the fixed names. Those are predefined names. Of course, setTimeout also predefined name. So those must be fixed names. So let's check it out. Now we are executing that function. After completion of 20 seconds, automatically it must be stopped. See, it's repeating for every 2 seconds. And after completion of 20 seconds, automatically it will be stopped, because there we are calling clearInterval function, so that the clearInterval will stop the repetition that is caused by the setInterval. So like this, you can use the setInterval to execute some code that should be executed repeatedly. So for example, in the online shopping application, you are displaying the countdown of the time by using setInterval.